Welcome to episode number 44. I'm CJ Werleman. Thank you for joining us. In this week's episode, I argue for the release of Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, a Pakistani national who is serving an 86-year sentence at a US federal facility for the attempted murder of US soldiers in Afghanistan. But first, a quick reminder to click on the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on a single episode. Now let's get started. If this is the first time you're hearing the name Dr. Aafia Siddiqui, then it's most likely because the US mainstream media has erased her humanity by cruelly and mischievously nicknaming her Lady Al-Qaeda. A name they gave to her because she's the first and only woman to ever be placed on the FBI's list of wanted terrorists, despite the FBI acknowledging it did not possess any actual evidence of her involvement with a terrorist group. And even to this day, she has never been charged or convicted of plotting or participating in an act of terror, ever. Okay, we'll circle back to that in a minute, but first here's some basic background on Siddiqui. She was born in Pakistan in 1972, but moved to the US in 1990 on a student visa, which allowed her to study at the prestigious MIT, and then later Brandeis University, where she obtained a PhD in neuroscience in 2001. 2 years later, she moved back to Pakistan, but her name suddenly appeared in the media for the first time in years when a gunman demanded her release in exchange for Jewish worshippers he had held hostage at a synagogue in Texas 6 weeks ago. Play the clip.
Congressman Levin, we are actually getting some breaking news on this developing situation. Some more details are coming in. We are hearing that from 3 senior law enforcement officials that a man is holding a rabbi and potentially others hostage at this Fort Worth area synagogue and has told authorities there that he wants the release of Aafia Siddiqui from federal prison.
Thankfully, nobody was harmed, but the standoff did ignite renewed media interest in the case of the so-called Lady Al-Qaeda, a nickname given to her by the media after 9/11 plotter Khalid Sheikh Mohammed named her as a courier in 2003. But let's be clear, this is a guy who gave up literally loads of false information while being tortured, as all victims do when trying to stop the torture, which is why psychologists have demonstrated torture does not work. Roll it.
CIA officer in charge of interrogations after 9/11 is speaking for the very first time. In a 60 Minutes interview, Jose Rodriguez of Puerto Rico tells Leslie Stahl about waterboarding the man who planned 9/11. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was strapped to a board, tilted head down, a cloth placed over his face, and water poured over his mouth to give the sensation of drowning. But Rodriguez tells Stahl that Mohammed was tough. They had to pour the water more than 180 times.
But shortly after KSM named her, she and her 3 young children were kidnapped in Pakistan in 2003, presumably by Pakistani intelligence agencies who at the time were doing whatever the US government told them to do in exchange for billions of dollars from the US government. Siddiqui then suddenly shows up out of nowhere on a remote road in Afghanistan 5 years later in 2008, looking disheveled, emaciated and confused, and without 2 of her children, where she is arrested by US-backed Afghan forces. To this day, neither the Pakistani government nor the US government will confirm where Siddiqui was during the period spanning 2003 to 2008. But Siddiqui testified under oath she had been held in a network of secret prisons on Pakistani soil during this time. Here's her family and friends on her missing years in Pakistan. Go.
She disappears and is not heard from for 5 years. And during that time period, information starts coming out here and there, rumors about her being held in secret detention.
Her family says she'd been missing for 5 years when she suddenly turned up in Afghanistan with her oldest son. The whereabouts of her 2 other children remain unknown.
So here's what the United States government wants you to believe, that after being missing in Pakistan military custody for 5 years, she suddenly shows up in Afghanistan in 2008, starved, disorientated and confused, and without 2 of her children, holding a briefcase that somehow contains plans to carry out a terrorist attack in the United States. I mean, it's just a total joke. But here's Siddiqui's lawyer to explain the absurdity of her arrest. Watch.
So hundreds of miles away in Ghazni, Afghanistan, which I believe is only an hour or 2 away from Bagram or Kabul. She was found on the street by Afghan police. She can't speak any of the local languages. She looked completely disheveled. She was emaciated, weighed about like 90 pounds at the time of her reappearance. She only had her eldest son with her. Her 2 other children were nowhere to be found. And so the Afghan police took her into custody.
I mean, talk about a transparently obvious setup. Clearly, she was dumped in Afghanistan by Pakistani military officials after they were unable to find a single shred of evidence against her. But rather than risk upsetting their American paymasters by letting her walk free, they chose instead to hand her over to the US-backed Afghan forces in 2008, which is where the claims against her become even more ridiculous. Roll it.
7-year-old Aafia Siddiqui was found guilty of opening fire on 6 people, FBI agents and U.S. military, who'd come to question her at an Afghan police station. According to a government prosecutor, when the warrant officer put down his gun, she saw her chance to kill Americans and she took it.
Okay, so think about this. They want you to believe a highly trained US soldier put down his weapon within arm's distance of a wanted terrorist in the middle of a war zone, and that everybody in that room somehow forgot to put handcuffs on this dangerous woman. They then want you to believe she jumps out of her seat, grabs the M4 semi-automatic rifle while surrounded by a half-dozen armed soldiers, then turns off the weapon safety switch before shooting up the room. Yeah, right, give me a break. Worse, the trial was based entirely on the testimony of those who were in the room, i.e. US soldiers, whose testimony was not only contradictory, but also unsupported by a single piece of physical or forensic evidence. There were no bullets, no bullet holes, and no fingerprints found on the weapon. But none of these indisputable facts stopped the judge from sentencing her to 86 years in a US federal penitentiary, where she remains today. Quite simply, she was found guilty because the media and the court of public opinion deemed her guilty well before she stepped foot into a courtroom. Here's a defense attorney. Go.
Disagree with the jury's verdict. In my opinion, it is wrong. There was no forensic evidence and the witness testimony was divergent, to say the least. This is not a just and right verdict. It is a just and right system, but the juries do make mistakes, juries do go wrong, and my opinion is that this was a verdict that was based on fear and not fact.
But by now she should have been granted a retrial, given a former Pakistani foreign minister said this in 2012, and I quote, "I am sorry for handing over the innocent Dr. Aafia Siddiqui to the Americans. It was my biggest mistake ever," end quote. His words echoed by former US Attorney General Ramsey Clark, who called the imprisonment of Siddiqui the worst case of individual injustice he has ever seen, period. Now watch my dear friend Eddie on the support she has received from prominent US lawmakers. Play.
This week's show is surrounded by mystery, full of controversy, and the former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark has said about it that he hasn't witnessed such bare injustice in his entire career, along with former U.S. presidential candidate and 2-time Senator Michael Garvell, who's also advocating on behalf of this woman.
This is a woman who has not only been held in custody for 19 years, but also has been subjected to torture, solitary confinement, and violent attacks from prison inmates. Her innocence, along with the suffering and torment she has endured, is why a former Pakistani Prime Minister called her the daughter of a nation, and why the current Prime Minister calls for her immediate release. Go.
आफिया सिद्दीकी की जो ट्रेजेडी है, मैं इसे ट्रेजेडी इसलिए कहता हूँ कि ऐसा कोई भयानक नाक केस आप सुनते ही नहीं है। यानी कोई सिविलाइज दुनिया के अंदर ऐसा केस सुना ही नहीं जाता है, एक माँ 3 छोटे बच्चों के साथ गायब हो जाती है।
Additionally, there is a 3-year-old video of Imran Khan and Donald Trump in which reporters ask him about Aafia Siddiqui and when he plans to discuss the matter with the president. He answered in this manner.
Pakistan. Did you raise the voice for Dr. Aafia Siddiqui?
Well, there'll be things discussed, so that would be for afterwards. We'll discuss things.
We'll be discussing it. Mr.
President. Now, did he address that or not? Allah knows best, but I strongly believe that we shouldn't refer to her as the nation's daughter, since it is obvious that neither we nor these politicians feel that way for her. If she were really your daughter, you wouldn't be spending the day binge-watching Netflix, nor would these politicians act in that manner. At the very least, we should be honest that we don't care about our brothers and sisters who are suffering all over the world, even non-Muslims, because when it comes to injustice, we don't discriminate against anybody based on their faith. Because who knows, maybe after realizing this, we may feel bad and put out more effort to help the oppressed than to waste our time with entertainment.
Which is why we at the CJ Werleman Show also call for the immediate release of Dr. Aafia Siddiqui. Her freedom will not only bring her justice, but also the United States the gratitude and goodwill of 225 million Pakistani citizens. Well, that's all I have time for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in.
If you like our content, then please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for latest updates. Thank you.